أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So yesterday we covered the Hamzatul Wasl in nouns, and basically there are two kinds of nouns. The first kind of noun is a regular noun, a noun that is derived from a verb. So if it's a noun that is derived from a verb and it has Hamzatul Wasl, the ruling of the vowel on Hamzatul Wasl is going to be the same as the verbs. So the vowel is going to be according to the third letter. And that third letter in this type of noun is always going to have a kasra. So the Hamzatul Wasl in this kind of noun is always going to have a kasra. The other nouns, which are the irregular nouns, and in the Quran there are 7 of them total, which are ibn, ibna, imru, imra'at, ism, ithnain, and ithnatain. The Hamzatul Wasl is always going to have a kasra. Today, we're going to cover Hamzatul Wasl in participles. Hamzatul Wasl in participles. And one of these participles is al. And a participle is not a verb and not a noun, not an ism. That's pretty much what the definition of a participle is. Right? In the Arabic language, when they describe a harf or participle, they say it is not a verb, not a fi'l, not an action, and not an ism, which is usually translated as a noun, but ism I think is a much broader term than a noun. So Hamzatul Wasl can be Hamzatul Wasl can precede the participle lam of the al, right? Of the. When beginning these words, Hamzatul Wasl is always read with a fatha. Examples of this are found in the following: Ar-Rahman, Al-Insan, Al-Quran. If you begin with Hamzatul Wasl, you pronounce it. If you don't begin with it, you don't pronounce Hamzatul Wasl. Hamzatul Wasl disappears in writing and in pronunciation in al of nouns when it's preceded by lamul jar, or lam with a kasra. This is demonstrated in the following ayat. Inna lil muttaqina mafaza. Lil muttaqina. So it's originally li al muttaqina, but because the lam is connected, the Hamzatul Wasl is omitted because you don't pronounce it. إن كنتم للرؤيا تعبرون. للرؤيا, same. In the other حروف الجر enter a noun beginning with al, the Hamzatul Wasl is not pronounced but is still written in the word. المنافقون والمنافقات. This is a particle. والمنافقات من بعضهم يأمرون بالمنكر. That's another one. والمنافقات بالمنكر. So here's a chart. Vowels used when beginning with Hamzatul Wasl. Dhamma is only with verbs. Kasra with all nouns and verbs. If the third letter of the verb has a fatha or a kasra. Fatha in participles only, with the alif lam of the definite article. So this is a very brief summary which encompasses all that you need to know when you're reciting. So when does it have a dhamma? If it's a verb, that verb has to have a dhamma on the third letter. Kasra with most. So all nouns and all verbs. Okay? With all nouns and most verbs. Third letter has a kasra. And fatha with al. Very good summary here. right? So we can go over the next portion or the next section. The meaning of Hamzat al-Qata' with Hamzat al-Wasl in one word. So, Hamzat al-Wasl, we know, is the one that comes at the beginning. And Hamzat al-Qata' would come either at the beginning, the middle, or the end. But if they're meeting in one word, Hamzat al-Wasl would have to necessarily begin the word. Hamzat al-Wasl only comes at the beginning of a word. Hamzat al-Wasl only comes at the beginning of a word. So there are two ways this occurs. The first way is when Hamzat al-Wasl precedes the Hamzat al-Qata' sakina. Hamzat al-Qata' has a sukoon. Either the Hamzat al-Qata' has a sukoon, or Hamzat al-Qata' would be istifham, meaning it would be the inquisitive Hamzat al-Qata' that precedes Hamzat al-Wasl. Either Hamzat al-Wasl is before. If Hamzat al-Wasl is before, then Hamzat al-Qata' is going to have a sukoon. Or Hamzat al-Qata' is before, which is if Hamzat al-Qata' is the inquisitive Hamza, then it's going to have a fatha. All right, so when starting these words, the Hamzat al-Qata' that is sakina is changed to a med letter, similar to the vowel on the Hamzat al-Wasl. This is something that we did cover during our recitation. This only occurs in a few verbs. This is further explained in the following examples. This word here is the word that is concerned. The first is a Hamzatul Wasl. The second is Hamzatul Qata'. The vowel that is appropriate for Hamzatul Wasl is a Dhamma because it's a verb and the third letter has a Dhamma. So if I'm beginning with this word, I will say utumina. So the Hamza is being turned into a waw. Hamzat al-Qata' is being turned into a waw. And Hamzat al-Wasl takes a dhamm. Utumina. Why is it turned into a waw? Because a waw is what's most appropriate for the dhamm. The next example, we have Hamzat al-Wasl followed by Hamzat al-Qata'. The third letter has a kasra, which means Hamzat al-Wasl is going to have a kasra. Because Hamzat al-Wasl has a kasra, the next Hamza will be turned into a ya, because the ya is the most appropriate letter for the kasra. Itina. The same with this one, then. Same with this one, tu. And the reason why it's tu and not utu is because the dhamma that is here on the ta is not an original dhamma. That dhamma is there because of this waw. And this waw is a pronoun. Same thing here, tuni. These two are the same. So again, what happens is the Hamzat al-Wasl is going to take the letter or the vowel according to that third letter. The Hamzat al-Qata' that follows is going to be turned into a med letter that's appropriate for the vowel of the Hamzat al-Wasl. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? I'm opening up the floor to questions.
Yeah, I have a question.
What's the question?
So essentially, in this, these are all the examples of Hamzatul Wasl preceding Hamzatul Qata. Are these all the? You said it only occurs a few times, and the example she's provided to your knowledge are those all of those that she's mentioned, or are there more?
There are a few more.
Okay, and essentially, it seems that the rule is the same as the rule for Hamzatul Wasl in any other situation um, for the verbs, uh, and all you're doing is applying the same thing to the Hamzatul Qat'a that follows it.
I don't understand. Say that question again.
The rule for the verb is that Hamzatul Wasl takes the the haraka of the third letter, correct? And you're doing the same. You're applying that same rule here.
Yes, applying the same rule.
And so you're just including the Hamzatul Qata within that.
Right. So Hamzat al-Qata' is turning into harf mad.
Okay.
In this case, because it has a sukoon on it. The reason why is because it's cumbersome to pronounce two hamzas one after the other.
Yeah. And the mud is 2 counts in a hafs.
Yes, 2 counts everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Any other questions? So we know from the previous subject that when we join the word preceding the word the with Hamzat al-Wasl, with the word that has it, we do not pronounce or use Hamzat al-Wasl. The sakina, Hamzat al-Qata' sakina, stays fixed and is pronounced. In the first example above, alladhi tumina, we would read the thal of alladhi, kasra, then immediately pronounce the hamza sakina. When beginning one of these words, we begin the hamzat al-wasl with the appropriate vowel. Then the hamzat al-qata' that immediately follows is changed into a harf mad, the similar vowel as on the hamzat al-wasl. If we start hamzat al-wasl, the kasra, as we would in the word then hamzat al-qata' sakina that immediately follows becomes a ya maddiyah. Similarly, if the vowel on hamzat al-wasl when starting a word like this is a dhamma, as we would in the word tumina, then the hamzat al-qata' sakina is changed into a waw maddiyah. This is discussed under mad al-badal rule, and it is whenever two hamzas meet at the first whenever two hamzas meet and the first is vowel and the second is sakina, the second hamza changes into a mad letter of the same nature as the vowel on the first hamza. This rule is employed anytime there are two hamzas next to each other in one word. First voweled and the second sakina. It is used in Hamzat al-Wasl only when starting a verb that has a Hamzat al-Wasl immediately followed by Hamzat al-Qata' sakina. So the questioning Hamzat al-Qata' preceding Hamzat al-Wasl, we'll discuss that inshallah next week. No, not next week, because next week is Ramadan. So we will discuss that after Ramadan, inshallah, which is when we will finish the book. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So Any questions on that?
No, not so far.
Yeah, we have 2 more pages remaining. So let me just summarize the topic that's on these 2 pages, and we'll consider ourselves done. How about that? That sound
good.
okay?
Sounds good.
So Hamzatul Wasl, when it meets Hamzatul Qata, 2 scenarios. Either Hamzatul Wasl is at the beginning, which would mean Hamzatul Qata is going to have a sukoon. That's what we discussed a minute ago. Second scenario is if Hamzatul Qata is the inquisitive Hamza and it's followed by Hamzatul Wasl. This occurs in nouns and verbs. In verbs, Hamzatul Wasl is dropped immediately, dropped totally. Dropped in writing and in pronunciation, as if it wasn't even there. And the Hamzatul Istifham remains. In nouns, both types of Hamzas remain in the word. So in verbs, Hamzatul Wasl is taken away. In nouns, they both stay. So in verbs, Hamzatul Wasl is dropped in writing and in pronunciation, and the Hamza of questioning or the inquisitive Hamza remains. So these are examples. أتخذتم, أطلع, أفترى, أصطفى, أستكبر, أتخذناهم, أستغفر. So you see here, it's only one Hamza. Originally it would have been أتخذتم. But because the 2 Hamzas came together, they omitted the Hamzatul Wasl because it's the weaker of the 2 Hamzas, so to speak. And the only thing that's left is that fatha on the Hamzatul Qata. That's in verbs. Second case is in nouns. When Hamzatul Qata, indicating a question istifham, enters a noun that has the definite article al attached at the beginning, Hamzatul Wasl undergoes changes so that the questioning Hamza can be distinguished from the al. So in the first case, Hamzatul Wasl would have had a kasra. So when you begin with a fatha, there's no confusion. You know it's Hamza al-Qata', which is Hamza al-Istifham. But in here, the noun begins with al. So that Hamza has a fatha. So there may be confusion as to, are you saying inquisitive Hamza or are you saying the Hamza of al? So that's why it's been changed. Without a change, Hamzatul Wasl, without a change in Hamzatul Wasl, it would be impossible to determine whether there was a question before the al or not, since we begin nouns with begin nouns have al in front of them with a fatha, and the Hamzatul Qata' of questioning also begins with a fatha. Hamzatul Wasl will normally not be pronounced at all during continuous reading. This questioning Hamzatul Qata' is presented before a noun starting with al. Hamzatul Wasl is changed to either one of the 2 following states. Both ways of recitation are allowed in the recitation of Hafs an Tariq Asim and Tariq al-Shatibiyyah. The first way is lengthening alif. This is called ibdal. The second way is an eased hamza. This is called tasheel. Okay? So I'm jumping to the examples. So here we have همزة الاستفهام followed by Hamzatul Wasl al. So originally it would have been al-ana. Al-ana. So the first way is lengthening. So the first way you'd say الآن وقد كنتم. That's lengthening. قل الله قل الذكرين. The second way is tasheel, an eased hamza. So you wouldn't say al, you'd say al. A, 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 a. The first one is a hamza. A. Second one is an eased hamza. A. Al-ana. Allahu. الذكرين. الآن الله الذكرين. For Warsh, Uzair, these two من طريق الشاطبية, each of, so this word al-ana, there are 17 ways to read it. من طريق الطيبة, the ways to read it gets up to about 25 ways to read it.
Wow.
No. Any questions on that?
How do you read it in Warsh?
So the way that you're reading, you'd have right. So the way that you read Tawassul would have I can remember now it's 3 ways. So, آلان وقد آلان وقد آلان وقد. Right. Those are the 3 ways I can think of for your when you're reading with Tawassul. But you can get into the different ways, inshallah, another time, inshallah. Once you get to that road, inshallah.
Inshallah. One last thing. So this is from what I remember, you when we went over the mudud, this is mad al lazim, correct? Is that what we would call it due to the
So
sukun?
yes, this would be considered, this is the only example for mad lazim kalimi mukhaffaf. So
Okay.
mad lazim in a word without a shadda. The only example in the Quran for hafs.
Sukun. And the other ones like Allah over here and or al-Zakarain or Allah or
مد
even
لازم كلمي مثقل أو
كلمة.
have a shadda.
Okay. Okay. Jazakallah khair.
آمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.